I always feel like I'll fight anybody because everybody was the enemy, the enemy, the enemy, the enemy, you know, and now I'm here without nothing, away from everyone, and I really took the time to find out, you know, who the enemy was. And then it's not that it was the enemy, it was the enemy, the enemy, the enemy, the inner me. Sometimes you realize the true you is the enemy.
That line hits different when you actually sit with it, because most people hear that and think, yeah, that's deep, and then keep scrolling. But if you actually stop and think about what he just said, it's one of the more honest things a man can admit, that the thing fighting against him was him. There's something in a man that he spends most of his life trying to outrun. He changes his environment, changes the people around him, changes his circumstances, and then ends up in a new place with the same problem, because he brought himself with him. Paul wrote about this in Romans 7, and this is worth paying attention to, because Paul wasn't writing this as a disclaimer. He wasn't distancing himself from it. He was just putting it down plainly. Romans 7:15 says, I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. That's not a struggling new believer. That's Paul, the man who wrote half the New Testament saying, I keep doing the thing I hate. There's a war going on inside every man, between who he knows he should be and what he keeps reaching for anyway. The version of himself that shows up when he's tired, when no one's around, when the day went sideways and something familiar is right there. That pull doesn't care how much he knows, doesn't care how long he's been a Christian, doesn't care how good things are going on the outside. It's just there. And the thing about that pull is that it knows him. It knows exactly what he'll reach for and when. It knows where he's soft. It knows how to make the wrong thing feel like the only reasonable option in that moment. You can't just decide your way out of it. A lot of men have tried. Most of them found that out the hard way. Romans 7:24 says, What a wretched man I am. Who will rescue me from this body of death? Read that again. Who will rescue me? Paul already knew he couldn't do it on his own. He'd already been through enough to know that. The question wasn't, how do I fix this? The question was who, and then one verse later he answers it. Thanks be to God, who delivers me through Jesus Christ our Lord. The rescue is a person. That's the thing men miss when they're trying to fight this war alone. They treat it like a discipline problem, a willpower problem, a mindset problem. And sometimes it takes hitting the same wall enough times before a man is finally willing to just bring it somewhere instead of trying to handle it himself. That's where Kimbo landed, stripped down, away from everything that had defined him. And instead of building himself back up the same way, he went somewhere different.
You know, one thing I've learned being here, my spare time, I really found myself doing a lot of, you know, one-on-one connecting, like praying and, you know, putting everything in perspectives between me and God. Something I haven't done in a long time. I guess whenever I decide to shave the beard, that's when I probably put Kimbo at rest. But would Kimbo ever be at rest?
Would Kimbo ever be at rest? Probably not. And that's actually the honest answer. The flesh doesn't get defeated once and stay down. That's not how this works. The win isn't finishing the fight. It's still being in it. Getting up the next day and fighting it again. Bringing it to God again. Choosing the right thing again, knowing you'll have to choose it again tomorrow. The man who keeps doing that is not losing. He's just in a long fight, and he's not in it alone.